Welcome to the Abundant at the Top podcast. I'm Brittany Fox, your host. Whenever we go to create anything in our lives, I love to start with the idea of how do we create from a place of alignment. One of my big themes for my life and for my community She Created is create a beautiful life by design. Well, how do we do that? How do we know what an intentional life looks like? Where do we even begin? One of the places that we start when we go to really be intentional is to pause, is to really spend some time thinking about what it is we want to create in our lives. Oftentimes we're so busy, going as the high achieving women that we forget to actually create something new. We need to pause. We need to really think about what it is we want to create next in our lives. Recently, I was at a mastermind conference in Delray Beach with an incredible community, and I was reminded as we did this exercise of looking at all the wins for the year to take some time, and I do this every year very intentionally, and it's so beautiful to see as you keep doing this work of the ahas as the moments, and also putting yourself in a space of community and with a beginner's mind, because I've done this exercise how many times? I mean, over the last 8 years, I've done it every single year. But hearing it from a new perspective or having someone guide you can make all the difference. So what we did was we started writing down all of our wins for the year, all the things that we had achieved, celebrated, from big to small milestones. And we just took some deep time, like over 15 minutes, really just writing those out. But I'd encourage you, no matter where you're at, just spend some time reviewing your last 90 days, reviewing your last week, reviewing your last year, wherever you're at this time, to think about all those wins. Because when we can actually see how far we've come, we're reminded of what's possible. And so I did this exercise. I was writing down all of my wins. And what was cool was they also asked us this question was, what was your learnings? And this could have been a learning from a positive experience, from the big win that you had just written down, or a learning from maybe a difficult season in your life, and to really reflect on what you had learned. Because oftentimes I think we just keep going and we don't really think about the learning lessons. And this is such an important reflection for me because I do keep going and I have these learnings, but to really think about it, to journal it, to write it down, to ingrain it in my memory. One, I don't want to have to learn this lesson again. Sometimes we have to keep going around the mountain. But if we can make note of that during our reflection time, then maybe you don't have to go around the mountain again. The other beautiful question that they asked was, how did you grow this year? And I love this. I mean, growth being one of my top human needs. I think a lot of people listening to this, you love to keep growing, is how did you grow this year? How did you put yourself out there? How did you overcome those challenges? It's a different question than the learning one. I had some really cool distinctions of seeing how far I've come and also what are the characteristics. And that was something that I was able to tie as well. What was two characteristics of who you've been over the last year and what do you want to bring into the next year? And I looked at that and I saw two really cool reflections. When I looked at the behaviors and the actions that led me to some of my wins, my learnings, and even my growth, I had two really cool distinctions that this year I was brave. I took some bold action this year. And I love these moments. And one of the characteristics for me being brave is this grit, this relentlessness. And it's one of my life mottos and core values is to be relentless. I always say, and this is something I've used in my tech staffing company, is that we always find a way. And that became a cultural norm because it's how me and my husband live our life, is that we always find a way. We always figure it out. And that led me to being really brave this year, to being vulnerable, putting myself out there. And I remember being so uncertain of that first retreat. I didn't have as many signups as I thought. I thought about even canceling it, maybe rescheduling it, giving me more time to plan and prepare and get it perfect as I do. But I realized that I needed to take that action. Even if I just made an impact in one person's life, it was worth putting on the retreat to make that difference. It would also have given me the learnings, which I know now, of that first experience. If I would have made that decision to put off my first retreat, I would not be where I am today. And I just realized that that took bravery, that took courage. It didn't mean I wasn't scared. It didn't mean that I didn't have fear, but courage is when you take action anyways. So I was really brave this year with that experience, with putting myself out there with the retreat, with the public speaking that I did. It's something that I've really been working on for my skill sets, and being able to do it anyways, not waiting till it's perfect. Just like this podcast, I worked with a coach to put this all together, and I have had every excuse of why to keep putting it off again and again because I want to have the perfect plan together. I want to have the content organized. An epiphany just hit me that you guys don't even want me all scripted and all of my thoughts perfectly aligned. You want the raw, authentic me. I mean, in a day of AI, where everything's robotic and perfect, I think you'd rather hear from a human and their experience. So I've decided to go raw and unfiltered. There is no notes here. I am just talking to you about my current learnings, what's happening, because this is what we want. We want connection and we want authenticity. And I love the idea of being able to reflect on what are the behaviors, because then we can ask ourselves this question: how can we bring more of that into the next year? And maybe you're not doing this at the end of the year, but how can you bring this into the current season of your life, your past reflections of the behaviors that you like, that you want to keep doing? I always start my year off with a theme, with a word. These typically come to me pretty strongly in a meditation or just what I'm hearing from my community of what they want and where they're at in their lives. And what I realized was, as high achieving women who are business oriented, very successful in our own rights, that we are very good at goal setting. And last year, the retreat, we did goal setting. We set them what we wanted to accomplish. We made plans and did all the tactical things, which, don't get me wrong, we will be doing that again this year. What we're going to be doing is doing it from a place of alignment. And how do we know when we're in alignment? We're going to be talking about this and really seeing how do we make that intentional choice. What we started this conversation with at the beginning is, how do you live an intentional life by design? Well, one, you have to pause. You have to think about what it is you want to create. You think about your values. You think about the traits. Who do you want to become is the question for future goals. Who do you want to become is such a key question. And I love this of, what would your future self do? What would she say? How would she act? How would she behave? And this is what we're going to be talking about in depth. But I think about now, how can we even begin right now? We don't have to wait for a conference. We don't have to wait for a retreat. We can start taking action now. So what is something that you can do to see where you're in alignment now? Where are you not in alignment? And how can you get in alignment for who you want to become? Who is your future self? And she's waiting on you. I know you because you crave connection and depth. I want to invite you to an exclusive gathering. I have a spot with your name on it. It's a special weekend where we go deep. We will work on your goals and dreams and identify anything that's holding you back. You're going to walk away with not only a tactical plan, but friends that you can do life with. I see you, and I want to create a space for you. Click on the link in the show and apply now. I want to also just talk about that sometimes, in order to get to alignment, we have to go through what I'm going to call the great realignment. That we have to go through some really hard things and let go of some things that are no longer serving us. Sometimes we do these things consciously, intentionally. We're doing the inner work. We're doing the things. We're showing up at the conference. We're going to the therapy. We're doing the coaching. But sometimes life just gives us the test. It gives us these challenges that we have to overcome that are outside of our control. And oftentimes these are for our greatest learnings, if we allow them. Don't get me wrong. There is moments and seasons where we can't see that. We can't see how it's for our growth, and we don't need to. We need to just feel the raw, real emotions of that hard thing that we're going through. But at some point, we get to the place of this is for my highest growth. This is for the highest version of myself, and it's going to serve me. And I know that for this year, it has been a really challenging year for a lot of people. If you're into all the things like numbers and 9, and they say that it was the year of the snake and shedding and letting go of all those things, then you know that you've been letting go of what no longer serves you, of patterns that needed to be changed in order to get to where you want to go. And with the new year coming up, it's a new season, it's a new beginning, new opportunity, and it's coming whether you're ready or not. That you have new growth coming, you have new opportunities, new beginnings. And I hope that this last season, that your alignment, your realignment allowed you to get to this place of receivership, of intentional design of who you are and who you want to be. Because it's such a beautiful place when we can create with intention. It doesn't mean that we still don't have challenges in this next season. They just look different and they're serving a different purpose. So this year coming up, what is it that you want to create? And how do you want to create it through that place of alignment? I'd love to just say how, for me, 2025 has been one of the hardest years for me. Personally, I just had some really hard challenges, some betrayal in my life with different close relationships. And it was a year of letting go of not only those relationships, but of the identity that I attached to those relationships. I've done a lot of work on letting go of the identity of who I am was my business, my success, of achieving this number in revenue and financial abundance. I've let go of that's not who I am. Well, yes, I've achieved those things. That's not who I am as a person. And a new learning for me was I'm not only my business, I'm not my relationships, I'm not even my health or my fitness, because we know often too that can be a challenge that is out of our control. We can do all the biohacking in the world, but we can still face difficult health challenges in our life. And having been through this really hard season, it's preparing me for what is next, which I believe for me coming up is a year of alignment. It is also connected very much to the theme of my life that was given to me in a download as a guidance to what this year ahead is going to look like. And the word for me was essence. Now, what is essence? It is the true who I am, which I let go of those identities. I'm sure there's still work to be done, but truly walking in the identity of who I am without the attachment of any of the things, of the relationships, of the business, of the health, of the fitness, of the goals, of the achievement, but truly just who I am as a person, which in the raw, most authentic self is my essence, is that feminine being. That's how I'm going to lead this year, from a place of essence, which what is that? It is intuition. It is tapping into that inner knowing. And I just can't wait to continue to walk in and explore this. I don't have all the answers to this, but this is going to be what my main theme is and what I know will be a constant conversation. So if you're have this question of walking in your true feminine essence, follow along, because we're going on a journey this coming up year talking about this nonstop. It's a conversation I have with a lot of my friends who are very successful, is how do we lead from that place of feminine energy, but still get stuff done, right? I mean, there's still stuff to do. And how do we do it? And I love that so many of us on this journey, we've had success, we've created a beautiful life, and we're at that point of impact in our lives, of being really intentional about what we want to create next. If you are at that place where you are living your life of impact, I want to hear from you. I want to see what it is you're going to be creating in this coming up year, and how do you see yourself living a life of impact? That's it for this episode of Abundance at the Top. So make sure to subscribe to the podcast. This is just the beginning. Follow me on social, Foxy, Foxy, on Instagram, and check out the school community for all of the she creators out there doing magical things. Stay tuned.